Welcome to Under the Sun podcast. I'm Ilea.
And I'm Irene. Grab a cup of coffee and your comfiest sweats and join us every Monday as two best friends discuss everything from raising free-range gremlins to business and really everything under the sun.
Let's get started, and thanks for being here. I want to grow our own food. I want to, by 2025, be completely self-sustainable. 2023.
Yes.
But by 2025, I want to only buy meat from local farmers, so cattle and chickens.
I need to find a good chicken place.
I know a gal.
Good.
And then grow all my own vegetables.
That'd be
and
great.
then purchase herbs from certain regions of the country because they're more
We live in the wrong
native.
state for me to grow the greens that I need.
weed.
No. Hatch chilies. It's too wet here.
Really? Mm-hmm. Why don't you just not water it? Why don't you just neglect it?
There's too much in the air. I called the company once because I was going to order seeds and have them shipped here. And they said the climate's just not right. They said I may or may not have a crop grow, but he said it'd be like a short month to too long window before there's just too much moisture in the air for that plant to thrive.
You would almost need like a greenhouse where you can like control the humidity or something.
Like make it a desertous oasis.
Yeah.
But then I would be the only one eating it. So that's kind of a waste of a greenhouse space.
Yep.
Also, I have a random update for you.
Okay.
My phone hates you. Every time you call, I always know it's you because there's nothing on the screen.
Did you block me?
No. And then I go to answer your FaceTime and it says call failed almost every time. That's why I usually have to call you back. But I have realized if I can't figure out why my phone is ringing, I've realized it's you, but to make my life easier, call me. Yeah! But now I don't answer you because my kids are like, wait, I have to dance. So
That's great. I love it.
now at least I know it's you and I know who to call back versus saying, I don't know who's calling me. So hopefully they leave a message.
So it just wouldn't ring?
It wouldn't ring. And then usually you would like Marco Polo me since Apple doesn't have video voicemails yet
like,
for some reason.
Like they need to get with it.
They do. But that's the only reason I know it's you is you usually Marco Polo me after, but
And
there's
text,
there's never a missed call. It doesn't tell me who it was.
Huh.
So at least now I know who to call back if.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love it. That feels very like 2010
Yep.
/ 2015. Remember,
Oh,
like
yeah.
I have like my pink slider phone.
Oh, yeah.
And I had
All the
different ringtones for
ringtones.
different
yeah.
people. I remember the pink slidey phone I had that had like, you can have your highlighted keys on your phone either be all white or in a rainbow color. And
How fancy.
I thought it was so cool. Spoiler, it wasn't.
To this day, though, I would get a BlackBerry. Jake makes fun of me all the time, but I miss the BlackBerry.
Nostalgia or just like,
I
why?
don't at this point. I
The
don't know,
little
but
itty
the
tiny,
buttons?
jokably
man.
small button.
I was such a fast typer on that thing.
I
Like
knew you in the
rollerball.
BlackBerry era.
It was great. I miss
I
them.
remember I have a memory of you in your white Pontiac.
Oh yeah,
And
forgot about that car.
well, I was in the passenger seat. You were driving, and you were texting. Like, but it was like rollerball. And I remember I can hear the sound, the swipe, roll,
Yep.
click, 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 swipe,
Oh
roll.
yeah,
Yeah.
I missed that.
Man.
Someone, I think Ryan Seacrest, like 7, 8, 9 years ago, I think he went on like the Tonight Show or something talking about how he was in the process of inventing a case for the iPhone that was like longer, which would have been, in hindsight, obnoxiously too long. And the case fell through anyways. I think he probably got like copyrighted or like the brands didn't want each other talking. But the case was supposed to have the BlackBerry keyboard for those of us that wanted an iPhone but missed the BlackBerry. It never came out. I was ready. I would have done it.
I gotta think that's a very small demographic.
I think so. But I do miss the BlackBerry. But I'm also old, so it's fine.
Well, with every update, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I know these stupid updates.
I know.
And then I'm like, oh, that's how you fall behind.
I think that's why. Well, I refuse to buy a new phone for one, but I think that's why.
You have a new phone.
Well, no, this is 2 years old at this point.
This is crusty.
Mine's a 12, and
I think mine's 11, yeah.
Brecken just got the
Literally, it's
14.
stupid.
But I think that's why your phone calls aren't coming through, because I know if I do the software update, they're going to throttle my phone even more. So I just keep not doing it. So I think they're shutting off my ability to see incoming calls. But that's a podcast for another day. Welcome to our technology podcast.
Yeah. Oh, geez. It would be like half an episode and everyone would be like, they don't know what they're talking about.
What are these girls saying?
It's because we don't know.
No.
What we are good at, though, like, and what this podcast is about today.
Stealing things from our husbands?
I do steal gift cards from my husband, for sure. But in my defense, he literally never uses them.
No, he doesn't.
How big of the stack was it that...
It was like we found a stack of gift cards, not even joking, this thick in his center console. So we went to everywhere. Dinner, Cold Stone Creamery. Cold Stone. Everywhere. We went so many places.
We had like a day, an activity day on Dave, even though he had no idea.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I didn't even realize those were in there. I'm like, what kind of psychopath doesn't use their gift cards immediately?
I love gift cards. This is also way off topic.
Way off topic.
But if I get you a gift card and you get me a gift card for the same amount on our birthdays, Jake's like, why do we just not give gifts? I'm like, because that $20, I'm like obligated to buy diapers with it or something important. But if it's a gift card, then like, that's free money.
Yeah. This is allocated for this store and it has to be for me. Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Unless you're Dave, and then it has to be for whoever is in his truck at the time, which we probably should take that out because they're going to rob his truck for gift cards.
They're odd numbers. One day I decided, I don't know what, back when I had time, I called all of them and wrote down all the balances. Because some of them, like sometimes he'll use like $5 here or whatever, but then throw it and he'll get lost in the abyss.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But what we do know about and what we're talking about today is, I don't know what the official title is, but how to have, I don't know, self-respect for yourself and finding a worthy mate.
Yes.
Or
how to not worthy mate. And I don't know why, like all of the old, like not ancient shows, but like shows of old showed up.
Sorry. We should have like not a gavel, like a spear or something.
Yes.
I don't know. But, or maybe how to stop dating duds and find a good man.
Yes.
How to be a woman who
deserves a
good man.
Yeah.
Oh, so,
I mean,
they don't want to hurt us.
They don't. I once had someone, mind you, we're not perfect. And yes, we're still young, blah, 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 whatever. But we've had people say.
But we've had long relationships.
We have had long relationships.
How long have you and Jacob been together? You're doing the old lady squint of trying to calculate. Irene.
I am an old lady now.
I know, but like.
I don't know how to not face.
I love it. It's just.
I think it's been 14 years, give or take. 13, 14, somewhere around there.
How many married? How many dating?
This year we'll be married for 9 years.
Gross.
I know.
I mean, it's awesome, but that's gone by really fast.
I know.
We've been married for 6 years and been together over 10 at this point. And so that's not nothing. We're not people first year into marriage and just like, oh my gosh.
I have some statistics for you.
If
I didn't accidentally close the tab, which I also apparently, I think that's another old lady thing I do is close my tabs. This one says 6 out of 10 marriages are unhappy. And that is very sad. This one that I clicked on said 6 in 10 are unhappily coupled. 4 out of 10, they said they've considered leaving their partner. Statistically, if you're going to get divorced, a high percentage is within the first year. Jeez. That's so soon. But the highest percentage is year 7 to 8.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And I know people have said like, oh, the 7-year itch. But I'm like, what is that? For one, I don't like that term because it just sounds.
It sounds like you had an itch for 7 years.
Sounds terrible. But statistically, I guess it's a thing because between year 7 and year 8 is when you're most likely to get a divorce. I guess like the honeymoon bubbles burst. You're usually a kid or two in. You've lost touch. It was a very just like depressing statistic.
That is probably, I mean, yes, you're probably 1 or 2 kids in and you're very comfortable with each other at that point. But I mean, probably because your husband watched you push out a human out of your vicooter. But it gets so much sweeter. Like if you just like, you don't appreciate how good it is if you don't get through the bad time. Like if it was all good all the time, how much fun would that be?
Exactly.
Well, many people through our friendship, whatever relationships, they've seen like me with my husband and her with her husband. And we have like good men who treat us well, and we treat them well. And they have said like, oh, like I need to find a good man, like, you know, like Jacob, like Dave.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, well, you kind of sleep around all the time, and you're never going to find it that way. Every guy you date, you end up living with, there is no commitment. And there are plenty of studies that show women who are in a committed relationship have a better sex life than women who don't.
Yeah. Jacob and I used to hear it all the time. We would be walking by, or we have this, I want to say embarrassingly long, but actually I'm pretty proud of it. We have a very long secret. Have you even seen our secret handshake?
No.
It's very long. And then like now as
So lame.
now as we've had each kid, like we've made, like, do you remember when Riker used to do this all the time? And I was paranoid that he had some like deep muscular something. As an infant, he would just like be in his chair and just do this. So then that became the last part of our handshake. It was like, I don't even, when we haven't practiced in a long time.
Practice.
But we did it one day here because something cool happened and we just like automatically did it, like all 25 steps of it. And someone from behind us was like, see, everyone deserves a love like that. And it's like, for one, we were both like, don't jinx us. It's one of those like, don't put your significant other in a music video. Don't do this. Don't do this. And as soon as they said that, we're like, great. We joked. Like, great. They just jinxed us. But the reality is you deserve a love like that if you're going to treat the other person like that, which could be controversial too, but also... It's not a one-way street of like, I need a man who treats me like a queen. Yeah. It's like, but you need are you a queen to be queen? Or are you a gremlin living on the street? Yes. It's very true. We've talking about this pretty heavily on this podcast, is how we are both anti happy wife, happy life. That statement gives a lot of excuse for you to be a jerk. Well, if I'm not happy, the whole family's got to be miserable. And that's very unfair to everyone around you.
And like how self-absorbed. That for whatever reason, because of what? Why are you the person that needs to be catered to? Mm-hmm. Like there are all phases of relationships. There are sometimes where your husband or wife has to pick up the slack for you because of whatever is happening in that situation. Work is really crazy, or emotionally you're just drained. But you communicate that like, hey, like I'm just like not myself. Mm-hmm. Can you pick up some of my slack? But like that's what relationships are supposed to be about. Instead of, oh, I have to do X, Y, and Z, otherwise my wife is going to punish me by doing whatever. Oh, you're going to sleep in the doghouse tonight. It's like, I like when people joke about that, I don't even know how to respond anymore. I'm like, well, wouldn't want to live in your house. No. And I fully believe that like words matter. Mm-hmm. And if you talk condescending and judgmental to your husband, he's probably going to go hang out with his friends or whoever and then talk condescending about you. Mm-hmm. And in that same vein, I never complain about Dave if he hasn't heard it already. Mm-hmm. Because that just breeds more resentment and anxiety. So if Dave and I are having an issue, poor him, I am actually pretty blunt. I'm like, you said this and it felt like this undertone, and I know I'm probably reading into it, but like it hurts my feelings. And then he usually can remedy it with saying like, no, I just really had to poop. And so I was just trying to be really sharp about what I was saying. Yeah. I needed you to do this. And I was like, okay, you know? Yeah. Communicating is so important. It's not in my nature to say what I need. It's more in my nature to just do it. But that doesn't work when you have two human beings that need to support each other. Like you have to communicate that. And Jake was really good in the beginning. I always joke because he has 5 sisters. So every time he is like exceptionally kind or sweet when I'm bawling my eyes out in a parking lot, or when I'm really exhausted and he's trying to save money and he's anti-Starbucks, he's like, let's go get you a coffee. And then it's like every once in a while I used to joke, I was like, remind me to thank your sisters. And he would just shake his head and stare out the window. But thankfully he had been around girls enough to know like, okay, sometimes if they're bawling their eyes out, don't make it worse, but like, it's okay. Like that's one of those times where he can pick up the slack where I can't. Yeah. You know, so it's just nice to have that communication. But early on, he was very good at saying, hey, I am not a mind reader. If you want to go out to dinner, if we haven't gone out to dinner in a long time, it's not because I don't want to take you. It's because we're busy and I'm forgetful and I've got a lot of stuff going on and you've got a lot of stuff going on. So he said, it's not fair for you to sulk around the house and get mad at me and passive aggressively like slam the dishes or, oh, I guess we just won't eat anything for dinner tonight. He's like, come up to me and say, hey, stupid, take me on a date. I want to go to dinner.
And sometimes I do jokingly say, hey, I don't ever call him stupid because I'm too nice, but I'm like, hey, take me out to dinner. Or I'll like jokingly smack him. But he's not a mind reader. Yeah. And the amount of women that expect their guys to just, well, he should have just known to bring me flowers. It's like, how? How is he supposed to just, like, they can't read minds. They really can't.
They can't. And
they can read. He's pretty good at reading my emotions, but like he still can't read all of them. So if I don't express that,
yeah, who's it really on then?
Yeah,
like who's the responsibility on if he can't read your emotions, but you can't even communicate them, you can't even express them. How can he pick up on something you can't even express?
Yeah,
in a adult fashion.
What's like what is the movie? It was one of my favorite movies. Why can't I think about it? The Notebook. When he's like just screaming at her, he's like, "What do you want?" She's just standing there, and he's like, "What do you want?" And she's like, I think she finally screams back at him, but that thought made me think that it's like half the time internally, I feel like they are just screaming, "What do you want?" And the women are just throwing tantrums till they get what they want, which I know that statement's going to cause controversy too, but it's true. I've watched it. I've been around it.
We've seen it in relationships, like in close proximity, or I'm sure you've seen it in clients. I've seen it just when we first got together, people would be like, "You're so lucky you found each other. You guys have that, like the fresh puppy love." And it's like, we've been married for a couple of years and we've been together at that point. It's like 5 years. I'm like, I don't think it's puppy love anymore. And like, oh, it'll wear off. And I'm like, why are we speaking like that to the next generation of married people? I have a specific couple in mind. It's like, they're like, it wears off. And at some point, then you just get so mad when they just, they don't put their dish in the dishwasher. And I'm like, you need bigger problems.
That's
you need bigger problems.
Buildup of underlying miscommunication that is not being communicated. If you snap at someone, and I've gotten to the point with something stupid like using all the towels, because we used to be, and early in our marriage, we didn't have a washing machine. And I had to go to the laundromat, which I love laundry. Going to the laundromat was my favorite thing. So I never minded, but like,
I don't get that. I hate laundry.
I think it's because I've never hated it, but every time I'd go to the laundromat, I would like take a snack. I take like a little picnic lunch, and I would like take a book or a show on my phone. And it was like, I was alone. No one can bother me. I can't do anything. Sorry, I'm at the laundromat. So that became like my place to go. But sometimes when I needed to shower and there were no towels, it was early on in the marriage. So I was just getting frustrated and not saying it. And then one day I finally like not snapped, but I was like, we don't have a washing machine. Please stop using a fresh towel every day. I am gross. I know I'm gross. I don't shower every day. I reuse my towels. You're clean when you get out of the shower, so it's fine.
Is that not normal? Do people use a new towel every time?
Ask your brother.
Shut up.
But no, he's great. Now he uses the same towel and it's perfect. But for a while, it's just like, it was just one of those, like, you're young, you don't know how to communicate yet. And finally he's like, just tell me it's bothering you. You don't have to like.
And it doesn't have to be a whole big deal. No. It doesn't have to be like, we need to go to dinner now.
Yeah. And that's one of those, like, it was bothering me. I didn't say it. He didn't know why I was bothered. I was just extra snippy. And one day I was like, I'm going to murder you if you don't stop using the same towel. He's like, I didn't even know you were upset about the towels. So, and after that, he used the same towel and it was great. Like, they're really not mind readers. But most of the time, if you communicate kindly, unless they're just a trash bag, but don't pick a trash bag. But don't
pick a trash bag. But if it's too late, so sorry.
But like most of the time, they're like, oh, okay, I'll try to do better. And so we've made a joke that, what's that? It's like, oh, our love is like an evergreen, like it's evergreen. And so we made a joke. I think it was this last Christmas that instead of an evergreen, it's like our love is like a Christmas tree. And the joke is every day you lose one pine needle for 50 years until it's dead. So we joke, but that's when like one of us is being a little bit annoying or like, hey, it's a pine needle when you do X, Y, Z. And then it's like, oh, sorry, I'll try not to do that. Like every time I get in the car, I know there's memes about it. So it's not just me. I buckle my seatbelt and I get something out of my purse, or I lean forward and do something, or I lean forward and look at the kids. And he's like, I cannot see out of the mirror. That's a pine needle. And so now it's a joke, but
there's a sermon by the Elevation Worship pastor, Stephen Furtick. And it was very eye-opening. It was, I do remember the sermon, but this phrase stuck with me is offenses build fences. So like an offense for me would build a fence up around like my heart or my emotions. Yeah. And that's what happens when you don't take the little things to your spouse and say like, hey, it's really annoying when you leave your socks out on the floor. It makes me feel like you don't value my time because then I have to go pick it up. And that's literally a conversation I had with Dave, but it'll never be completely figured out either.
Yeah.
That's why that's just how marriage is. You grow with each other, and sometimes you don't grow at the same pace. So sometimes you're a little bit more emotionally stable, and then sometimes you're not. But like you have to be willing to have uncomfortable conversations. Sometimes I don't know about you, but we make it a joke, and I'm like, I don't feel loved. Somebody needs to take me to dinner, or like I need a date, or like rub my feet.
You also have to be willing to joke around and not take everything so seriously, and not get your feelings hurt so easily. Which I don't know. I don't know that I'm not very I am sensitive, but I'm not internally sensitive. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just not sensitive. I don't know. But like things don't hurt my feelings. And if it does hurt my feelings, I'll say, hey, the way you said that hurt my feelings. But it's very rare that something genuinely hurts my feelings. But I'm able to joke about it. Like you have to be able to joke. Otherwise, if everyone's feelings are just getting hurt all the time, then there's that big old fence.
And you don't, like, who wants to live their whole life on eggshells?
No.
Like I would rather have an uncomfortable conversation and be like, because after a hard conversation, it's usually weird for the next couple of days, depending on the convo. But I'd rather have those early on in our marriage versus waiting till like year 7, 8, 9, 10. And these things have just festered and now are just oozing over into other areas of your life. And then you're just going through the motions. I don't want a roommate. No. I want to be a sex maniac. Like, that's what I want.
There's your short.
I'm not posting that because I don't. We target the female demographic, but but back to what we were saying, you have to respect yourself before you can demand respect out of a boyfriend, fiance, or husband. So if you don't hold yourself accountable to your emotions, your whatever it is, because I don't know about you, but I know so many women who are like, I'm just off today, and I snipped at the guy at the gas station. I snipped it, and it's like, okay, if you can't
no,
it's one thing to be upset, but like you cannot just excuse your female emotions
on you being a jerk,
and justify you being a jerk because you're emotional. Like you can. I just feel like it's very victimhood mentality of like, woe is me, but also treat me like a queen.
Yes,
we have a bunch of guy friends in our group, and a lot of them were single for a long stint of time in the beginning of our friendship. And Irene was with Jacob and I was with Dave, and the guys would always joke and call us unicorns because we don't really, I guess, typically act like regular women. Like we're not hyper emotional.
Except for when I was pregnant in the office, but that's another story. But like, making a placenta after that, it leveled out.
But like that's the thing is you need a good structure in your relationship so that when you are off, they know like, oh, this isn't just her being a bit like a biatch. This is like she's actually must be really having a hard time for her to behave like this. Like you have to have that framework to be like, this isn't normal behavior. Why not? But anyways, our guy friends would call us unicorns because we have compassion for our husbands, and we don't hold, like, I don't know, run the house with a tight, what's the analogy I'm looking for? We don't run a tight ship. We're not like, you know, I don't feel like we're critical. Sometimes, and Dave and I have communicated, like sometimes when I'm in distress or super stressed, I already have RBF. But my sentences just get shorter and they're snappier. And I'm like, it's not at you. It's not at anybody. It's me internally in distress. And he knows to be like, hey, like take a deep breath, you know, whatever the scenario calls for. But you need to be able to have a spouse be, like be able to call. He also can call me out. He's like, hey, you've been a real pill lately. Like what's going on? And I was like, oh, I don't know.
But you guys have that pre-existing years worth of communication for him to be able to say that, and you can, instead of reacting like how dare you, it's like, oh yeah, I've been a little interesting lately.
If it takes for Dave to say something, I must be being a pretty big bee.
I sometimes though almost still feel like the guys are unicorns in their own right, but like there are plenty out there. You just have to look for them in the right places.
Stop finding guys at bars. They're not husband worthy. I'm sorry. People aren't going to like it. I don't care.
No.
But
This is a great thing. It's our podcast. We can say whatever we want.
Ha! Suck it! Or don't. That's what we're trying to get at.
Oh,
okay.
That was great. Yes.
Well,
that is true.
it's true. Just like, listen, I know we live in a culture that's like, you do you. Like, figure out what you want before you settle down. Like, you're in college, explore all the things. That is the complete opposite of what you want if you want a really great long-term relationship.
Yeah.
Don't sleep with every guy you date. Like, be very cautious about who you let in your kingdom. I don't know how to not say it because truly,
great.
we were. I hate that.
Yeah.
Cut that out.
No, I love it.
We grew up in a very strict religion that was like, basically, don't ever have sex ever, otherwise you'll get a car crash and die.
Yes.
Or when you do get married, you're then never allowed to say no. Yeah. Like that's it wasn't
Both
great.
unhealthy scenarios.
But
there is some truth in that.
There is. And it's like, there is something special about saving yourself for marriage. And there's also something special about, it sounds so gross and I can't believe it's coming, but like serving your husband when even you kind of don't want to. It usually ends up being fun. Like, truly it does.
If you have a unicorn though, because some guys, just from what I've
what about his unicorn?
No, I mean, listen, I have been in the hair industry for 13 years. Like,
I got pregnant the night you did my hair.
I can tell when I've gotten someone laid. It's just, they walk out with like this confidence and I chuckle to myself and I'm like, you're welcome.
Yeah.
But like, also that chair, like everyone jokes, so it's like a therapist, but like I have heard so many things in that chair. So many things that people probably shouldn't tell me, but that's why my hair's so big. It's full of secrets. It's a lot of thoughts in my brain of like, her mom's listened to this, but whatever.
Oh. Mom, skip ahead about 30 seconds.
No. Some guys don't care. Finding a good guy, I feel like genuinely means they will be concerned with whether we are having fun or not.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, thanks, bye. Like the amount of women that don't get taken care of is very...
Okay, I see where we're...
Yes,
okay.
It's very surprising. I'm like,
what?
You
Really?
Know that, if he doesn't care
you
at all,
have a dad. I don't get that.
I don't either. I'm in a girls group on Facebook that they'll post some stuff and I'm like, I never comment, but as I read it, I'm like, oh, you need to find somebody else.
That's like a hard conversation then because it's like, oh, communication, all the things. But at some point, like some people just suck. Yeah.
I'll tell you, when I met Jacob, it was the week before one of my friend's weddings. She did her entire wedding sight unseen in a city and a state that she didn't live in. This was before Instagram, Pinterest, like maybe you had bridal magazines and everything was made from scratch. And she got married 6 days after graduating from college. So it's like college finals, planning a wedding. You have been to that state twice in your life. So instead of everyone going home and then just showing up for the wedding, we all caravanned to where the wedding was and we're supposed to spend the week helping her make stuff. Jacob ended up going a week early just to hang out with his friends. And because he's such a good guy and a hard worker, even in like an early 20s age, we had just left college. It's a wedding. Everyone's like unchaperoned and it's like guys and girls everywhere and everyone's flirting and everyone's talking. And I'm watching my friend have like borderline panic attacks because her wedding's in like 2 days and nothing's done. I'm over there like grumbling to myself about how stupid everyone is being and like building props and like hand making bouquets and getting really annoyed that no one cares. And then I look over and I see this random guy hanging stuff off of a scaffolding of a gym. And I'm like, I don't know who that guy is, but I like him. And then like went on my way. I didn't talk to him. But it's like there was something in that quality of like, it's time to get work done. It's not time to goof around. Like I really admired.
And that's been so poo-pooed on in our society of like wanting a hardworking man.
Yeah.
Or wanting a man who can provide, whether it's emotionally, physically. Like it's seriously, it's all frowned upon. It's like, oh, do whatever you can. Like it's truly a serving yourself world. It's like, what can you do for me? But it's like, actually, your husband has a duty to you and you have a duty to your husband. You have to make the right choices before you get there. But I mean, some people are maybe in a phase where they're repairing their relationship or building it. I would highly recommend, we took a course, a communication course. It was called PCM, and it's called Process Communication Model by our friend Dean Hefta. And we did that we didn't do it because of communication problems. It was actually through Jacob's business that they paid for us to go through this class. And long story short, I had already taken part of it through my other work. And that opened my eyes to how like, oh, this is how you communicate, because we've never been good at it. I think we were just easygoing girls.
Yeah.
To where there wasn't that much conflict, but like.
But now we have the tools to understand.
Yeah, like
what and where.
My husband is not bossy. He's analytical.
Yeah.
He's very like, oh, we're going on a vacation. We're going to need to book our flights. We're going to need to pack X, Y, and Z for Leora. We need to do like, he's very like list oriented. Whereas I'm like, let's just go with the flow. We'll see what happens. Like we'll just hitchhike there for all I care. And he's like, well, we don't have a plan. So it's good to know your spouse's communication style. Yeah. Also, the 5 love languages is awesome because if you are constantly doing the dishes and you don't feel thanked for it, that might not be your spouse's love language, is like acts of service. It
Meanwhile,
might be
it's quality time, and they're wondering why you're doing the dishes instead of watching a movie with them on the couch. Yeah. And then everyone's grumpy because no one's paying attention.
Literally. So that's Dave and I. His is acts of service, and I want quality time. And I said I would much rather do those dishes tomorrow and then hang out with you and watch Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But you just have to be able to communicate it and in a not bitchy way.
Yeah.
Just.
Which it is hard. It's not always.
But if you go
it's
to the
not
room,
always easy.
But if you
not
take a
sulk on
second,
accident,
like go to the other room, take a couple deep breaths and be like, okay, at the root of this, yes, externally I look angry, but on the inside, I'm actually really lonely. And I need some quality time with the man that I've chosen to spend the rest of my life with.
Yeah.
Or, man, I haven't seen my friends in a while. I really need to like, pawn the babies off on somebody and then go hang out with a friend and talk about unicorns.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just
unicorns and foliage.
No, but
I'm going to make that. Make a unicorn wrapped in foliage and put it on a t-shirt.
I hate it. Like nobody's going to do it for you. No. Like marriage is never going to be easy because you go through seasons.
Well, it's like that 7-8 year. I was just telling, as I was doing research for this podcast and getting all these statistics, we just passed our 8th year of marriage. And in that time, we have 2 babies. At the time, 2 babies under 3, 2 companies. And I have told him before, I'm like, hey, I'm really sad. And he's in work mode, so he doesn't didn't understand that I was just sad. He's like, well, I don't know, everything's going great. What's going on? I'm like, I'm just sad. Like as much as I hate the analogy, like we're 2 ships passing in the night, but it's like, I feel like we're doing the kid handoff. Like I get home, we say, hey, give you a quick hug, you run out the door, and then I've got the kids. It's like we were something like, 2 businesses, 2 kids under 3, and it's,
but just think about
but you have to be able to communicate that. Otherwise, it's very easy for me to just like, well, I'll do it myself, or I don't need help, or I'll do the dishes by myself and not tell him. How is he supposed to know that I'm upset if I'm not? Because he is very hard worker, and he is on the process communication. His do stuff level was very high and his emotional level was very low, and mine was flipped. Like I don't like to self-promote and I'm very emotional. So that we joked like, yes, we're polar opposites, but if you like flip our sheets together,
you fit perfectly.
We fit perfectly. And now I joke that he married his external emotional hard drive. When you're in the trenches and your kids are both going through leaps and no one has slept longer than 3 hours in 3 years, it's easy to bicker, but there's something at the end of it knowing like one day our kids will not crawl into our bed at 3 a.m. and it'll just be you and I, and we will look back on these days. I almost like a war analogy. Like, man, those were the days when we were in the trenches together. And instead of coming out these 2 separate people that want nothing to do with each other,
it's a strong bond.
If you work at it, it's like, man, we went through it together, and like here we are. We're
those
brothers for life.
Are out of the house now. Yeah,
stuck with me, and you're stuck with me forever.
Yeah,
but there's like, you can do it both ways. You can either start to let that wedge make you hate that person forever, or you can form that like brotherhood. It's like, okay, we made those 2 beautiful humans. Let's band together and keep going.
Is it Thomas Sowell that says the only thing God is, not the only thing, but something God is calling to you is just to do the next right thing? So like, even if you've adapted this like bickery behavior or whatever, like it doesn't mean you have to stay there. Like you can say like, listen, I've just been under distress. Let's start over tomorrow. Let's go eat a tub of ice cream and and bond. But you do have like those kids will leave, and if your relationship isn't strong, like then what's the point? Because I think it's the first year 7 to 8, and then 20 years is the next time for
Really?
divorce. Yeah. Because then it's when the kids are
Oh,
out.
yeah. And
you're
you
like,
had
oh my
kids
gosh, I
to
have
save your marriage. Now
Yeah,
they're
it's
gone.
Like you don't even know your spouse anymore. And no one has a perfect relationship. Even the people you see on social media, like even all the, YouTubers who post, which is great. Good for them.
Yeah.
But nobody has a perfect marriage.
No.
But it is something you should work at daily.
Yeah. It's not always easy, but you have two separate human beings with two separate upbringings, two separate personalities. Like you're going to butt heads sometimes, but
Yeah.
what are you doing the majority of the time to keep that bond going?
Yeah.
Thankfully, again, because my husband has 5 sisters and his mom, I have been extra weepy, extra anxious the last few days. I was pretty sure it was my hormones, but I was trying to rein it in, but it was like my liver's a little backed up from all the sugar I've eaten. So it was like really hard to rein in the tears. And like I said, Jacob hates Starbucks and offered me a Starbucks, offered me ice cream, and not everyone's going to do that. But not everyone deserves to be offered ice cream because it's so rare for me to be in that form of distress that when I was in that form, he wasn't like, oh, you're just being crazy again.
Yeah.
Go away. It's like, okay, something's going on. How can I help you? And as I'm crying, saying, I don't know, he's like, what if we got you a coffee? And that usually works. But
Yeah.
not everybody deserves a coffee. They don't.
Everyone's like, I only deserve the coffee.
However, yeah.
Yeah. We have really good guys.
Yeah.
And I would like to think that we're really good women. But I think just like everybody goes through phases of being their best self. Like not everyone can be 100 all the time. So find a spouse that's willing to, grow and work on things with you and not just become stagnant. That's where people get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Find the guys that are working and then don't get mad at them for working.
Yeah.
If that's what drew you to them in the first place.
5 tips to find a good man. Number 1.
Write a list of the qualities that you expect in a man. Don't hold that list to like, wow, no one's checking all these boxes, but like the person you pick should have a
Your
majority
non-negotiables.
of your they should have all of your non-negotiables and a majority of your preferences.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just found out in this podcast today that we both did that and ended up, with 2 really great guys.
Yeah.
So number 2, don't look in the trash for a diamond. Like seriously, you're probably not going to find it. You're not going to find your dream husband. I mean, it has happened, but it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Pretty rare. You're not going to find your dream golden boy at a
3
cowboy
a.m.
salon or a saloon. What do the kids do these days? I don't even know. Like you're not going to find him at a bar at 4 o'clock in the morning. Like you're not going to this isn't Dirty Dancing. You're not going to gaze across the room. Like it's not going to happen. If it does, great for you, but it's very rare.
Yeah. That's another topic for another day. We should talk about how toxic movies are that we grew up thinking were no big deal. But as you are an adult and watch back, it's like, oh, that was very toxic to think you're going to go dance on a table half naked and find a great guy. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Also, we should talk about how Hollywood portrays birth as this like, my water broke. I have to go to the hospital right now. Mm-hmm. We birthed all of our kids in water and it took hours.
Yes.
And your water broke.
My water broke and they told me don't come in for another 8.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Mine didn't break until she was literally out.
Yep.
So anyways, okay. Number 3.
Number 3, be a good person and work on yourself. Don't expect that you're going to get this wonderful unicorn of a man when you treat everybody like they are garbage.
Yeah. True. It's hard to like self-reflect and be like, oh, this is a characteristic about myself that I don't like. But
yeah,
if you don't like it, most of the time people around you don't like it.
Yeah.
So work on yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be a poop head. Find a good man that you want to love and respect and like give sacrificially.
Yeah.
Because it takes both ways. To do that. So
personality tests are great.
Oh, so
we've
great.
done PCM communication. I'm really just kind of addicted to personality tests, but then I realized part of my like personality trait is to be addicted to personality tests. I'm like, well, there you go, fitting in a box, but it's fine.
Yeah.
But like I did the Enneagram. I didn't have to make my husband do the Enneagram because I know exactly who he is, but
yeah,
like that helps. And that's not to say use these personality tests. It's like, well, that's just my personality. It's like, no, these are my positive attributes. These are my negative attributes. How can I better myself to be better partner for my husband.
It just puts down in words maybe some characteristics that are positive about you and negative about you. But you should never lock in and be like, oh, I'm a 3. I can't do this. Or I'm an 8. There's no way I could do this. Like, just because some bro did a little bit of research and determined these personality traits doesn't mean that you aren't capable of doing hard things.
Doesn't give you an excuse to be a jerk either.
Yeah. My brain said, go get them unicorns, but I'm not going to do it.
Thanks for being with us today. Follow us on Instagram at underthesun_podcast. We'd love to meet you.
Please help us out by subscribing on YouTube and leaving a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time. Please remember this information is made available to you for informational and educational purposes only. It is in no way a substitute for medical advice.